Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. All right, Ravens flock, we got something to talk about here. This is very interesting. Former Ravens receiver, now Cardinals wide receiver, Hollywood Brown spoke to the media today in regards to his departure from Baltimore via trade. We all know the events that took place on draft night. Hollywood Brown gets traded from the Ravens to the Cardinals in exchange for a first-round pick. We later on hear that he wanted to be traded, and this is something that's been going on for at least about a year. He handled it the right way. It never got out to the media. He never publicly expressed his interest in getting traded. They handled it inside, got him to where he wanted to get to, and we got a first-round pick in return. It was handled the right way. Today, we get an explanation as to why he wanted to leave the Ravens and his reasoning for asking for the trade in the first place. I got a direct quote here that I want to read to you guys. In regards to Hollywood Brown leaving the Ravens, this is what he said. "I want to feel like I am part of something to win. At the Ravens, I just felt like sometimes they really didn't need me, regardless if I was there or not. They were going to win games. I love the game too much. I want to be involved." Now, this is a very interesting quote from Hollywood Brown. I want to be involved. At the Ravens, it felt like they could win without me. Like, that's a very interesting quote. The one that I'm really emphasizing here is, I want to be involved. I'm not exactly sure why Hollywood Brown would say something like this. I want to be involved? Hollywood, you were involved. You were involved. You understand that you were the focal point of the receiving group, right? When it comes to the Ravens, the two main targeted guys were you and Mark Andrews. The two focal points in our passing game was you and Mark Andrews. Everybody knows when you played the Ravens, the two people you had to worry for were you and Mark Andrews. You were highly involved in the offense. This past year, you had 146 targets, 91 catches by you, but 146 targets. You were top 10 in targets last season for a receiver. So this whole thing about him saying, I want to be involved, I'm not exactly sure what he means by that. Because, I mean, we heard about him previously discuss this when he was talking about this. You know, he felt that it wasn't about, no, he said himself, it wasn't about the targets, it's about how he was utilizing the offense. We heard that before. We're like, okay, well, he doesn't want to be in this system with Greg Roman. You know, he doesn't feel like he's being utilized to his full potential. It's not about the targets, it's how he's being utilized. He doesn't fit well in this system. He doesn't want to continue to play in this system. He wants to go somewhere else. That made sense. I got you with that. That fit right in to my reasoning as to why you wanted to leave in the first place. I had no issue with that. But this quote about saying you want to be involved and you felt at the Ravens, it felt like sometimes they could win with or without you, and that you felt like you wanted to be involved and you weren't really involved with the Ravens. I'm not exactly sure where this is coming from. Like, I'm just looking at this quote again. I just felt like sometimes they really didn't need me. Really didn't need you. You were the focal point of the receiving as a whole. Because I'm just thinking about it right now. Last year, you were our receiving game for the most part. Because at least for the first half of the season, Devin Duvernay didn't really have much chemistry with Lamar. James Proche was not getting game time. He was not getting playing time at all. And Rashad Bateman, he was coming off an injury early on. He didn't play the first half of the season. You were the focal point in our passing game. You were the guy. To say it felt like they didn't really need you, I don't know where you're getting this belief from. I'm a bit confused with what he means by that. Again, I have no problem with him leaving because he felt he wasn't being utilized right. Greg Roman's system, the Ravens system, they choose to run with their offense that everybody's around. It's not just about Greg Roman. John Harbaugh, Eric DeCosta, Steve Buscaglia, the entire organization is completely on board with this style of play. The way they run their offense being run focused, run emphasized, while also emphasizing the utilization of our tight ends, that's the Ravens offense. The run game and the utilization of tight ends. Receiving core has never been a huge focus for the Ravens. It's never been a huge emphasis of the Ravens offense. Even when Flacco was there, the receiving core wasn't that much of a huge emphasis. It was still about the running game and still about the utilization of our tight ends. That didn't really change. The only time you could say it at least improved on that was 2014 with Gary Kubiak. But other than that, no. It's always been about the run game and the utilization of our tight ends. That really became the case once Lamar got here and once they got Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator, his MVP year, they just zoned in on that. The receiving core has never been an emphasis of the Ravens offense. They've been there, but they're not that main emphasis. It's never been the case for them. So, it's caused a lot of issues, especially with Greg Roman's system. We've seen several receivers come out. Hell, even David Culley, our former passing coordinator, came out and spoke against that system. So we've seen the complaints. Of course, Des Bryant's been very vocal. We heard something from Willie Snead. We've heard the noise. So we understand the complaint that receivers have made that have come from Greg Roman's system here. We understand that. But in Hollywood's case, when it comes to him saying he wasn't involved, I don't understand that part. I can understand him saying, when he said that last time, it's about how I'm utilized. Made perfect sense. Because in my opinion, him going to Arizona is definitely going to benefit him. He's not the number one guy there. DeAndre Hopkins is the number one guy. So I think Hollywood Brown's going to be put in a lot of situations where it could be, benefit for him. It's going to be positive for him. He's going to have a lot of great opportunities. The number one corner is not going to be on him. He's going to be the second or third wide receiver. He's going to get a lot of great looks. Not to mention, he's in a system that best fits to his strengths. So he's going to be utilized in the slot where he belongs in the best case scenario for him. Not to mention, he's going to get the ball from a quarterback that he already has that chemistry with. Him and Lamar had that chemistry off the field. They tried to get it on the field. It never quite worked out. They connected plenty of times, but it never worked out the way they wanted it to. With Kyler, you don't have to worry about it. It was connecting with both of them in college. They've been had that connection. So Kyler and Hollywood are going to be able to connect. He's going to be able to play in a system that best fits to his strengths, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities because he's not the number one receiver. That's DeAndre Hopkins. He's not going to be getting the toughest looks, so he can take advantage of that. This is definitely going to help him. Now, with that part, it makes sense because the other parts he added in his interview was about this decision and this move and this trade to get here was more for his career, more for his happiness. I get that part. It makes sense. He's going to a system that's going to fit his strengths and give him the best opportunity to have the best year he can have of his career. Makes total sense. I have no issue with that. I had no issue with his previous statement he made a couple months back where he said it was about how I'm utilized, not about the targets. That one is fine. My only issue is where he's saying he felt like the Ravens didn't need him and he's talking about I want to be involved. Where is that coming from? Because again, my dear friend Hollywood, you had 146 targets. You were top 10 in the league. In a run-first offense, you were top 10 in the league for receivers when it came to targets. You got 146 targets. You were the focal point of the passing game. It was you and Mark Andrews. So to say that you felt like they didn't really need you and that you weren't involved, that part I don't get. I really don't get because you couldn't have been any more involved. 146 targets, you had 91 catches. Hell, if you would have made the catches that hit your hands, you would have had better stats. In Detroit, you left damn near 150 to 200 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. You left that on the table because you just didn't make the catches. Another touchdown catch you dropped was against the Chargers. It happened a lot early on throughout the season, and then at times later in the season, you made drops in crucial moments. So your stats could have looked even better, and you would have had even more catches if you just would have catched the ball. So I'm not understanding this whole aspect where he's saying that it felt like at times the Ravens didn't need me and I want to be involved. You were involved as much as you possibly can. If this was James Prochet saying this, I can understand that. But you were the focal point of our offense. When it came to the passing game, you were the focal point. It was you and Mark Andrews. Lamar was not throwing to anybody else. It was you and Mark Andrews. Occasionally a Devin Duvernay got the ball. Occasionally once Rashad Bateman got there, he was starting to get the ball. But it really was you and Mark Andrews. Those were the two guys Lamar was throwing to all season last year. And even when he went down, Huntley was still trying to connect with you and Mark Andrews. You were literally the focal point of our receiving game last year. You have been the focal point for the most part for the last 2 years because your attempts, the targets have been increasing since your rookie year, and your catches and your stats have improved since your rookie year. So to say that you felt that you weren't really involved, felt that you weren't really needed at times, and that you want to be involved, I don't get that aspect. I get everything else. I get the phrasing and the saying of this move was about my career and my happiness. I get that because you're going to a place that's going to benefit you, and it's a system that can work best for you and work to your strengths, and you're going to be getting the ball thrown to you by a quarterback you already have chemistry with because that was your college quarterback. I get that. That part works. It makes sense. I get the previous statement you made months ago where you said it wasn't about the targets you were getting. It was about the system you were in. It was about how you were he didn't really say about the system we're in, but he said it was how I'm getting those targets and how I'm being utilized in the offense. I got that part. I got that part, and I got the career and happiness part. What's confusing me is where you're saying that there were times where the Ravens didn't need you and that you felt that you want to be involved. You were involved as much as you could be. If you were just making more catches, you would have been even more involved. The drops you made last year was what hurt the teams at times. If you were more involved and made those catches, your numbers would have looked better. You were involved as much as we possibly could involve you in this offense. This is a run-first offense that has a huge emphasis on the utilization, of the tight ends. So the receiving corps doesn't really get paid attention to that much. But out of everybody else, out of all the receivers that was on the roster last year, you were getting the emphasis. You were getting the targets. You were getting the looks. Lamar did everything in his power to try to get you the football. There were just several moments where you dropped them, and a lot of those times you dropped them were big plays down the field or touchdown passes. So I don't get this understanding where he's saying it feels like at times the Ravens didn't need me to win and that I want to be involved. That's where my confusion comes in. It is what it is at the end of the day. I wish Hollywood Brown the best of luck. I know he's going to thrive in Arizona because he's in a system that works to his strengths, and he's got a quarterback who he already has chemistry with way back in college. That guy's going to throw him the ball. He's not the number one receiver. That's DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to be in a high-flying offense. He's going to be in a great position. And at the same time, Baltimore's going to be in a great position too because we got that first-round pick out of it, which we used to get Linderbaum. And if Linderbaum works, we'll have our center for the next 10-plus years. So I think everybody wins in that situation. There was no issues. Again, I give the absolute respect to Hollywood Brown for handling this situation like a professional. Pointed it out, last year, this is a whole thing that was building for a year. He wanted to be traded. He wanted to leave. He didn't go out to the media. He didn't express it on social media. He kept it in-house. He worked with the Ravens until they could get him a deal to go somewhere, and he ended up getting to go to somewhere that's going to help maximize his talent in a system that best fits his strengths. So again, congratulations to him on handling that. All respect to you for handling that like a professional instead of going out in the public and speaking on it. You handle it like a professional. They rewarded you by getting you to a team that's going to best work with your strengths. And at the end of the day, we got back a first-round pick for a player that's not really worth the first-round pick. We spent a first-round pick to get you. You didn't really perform like a first-round pick type receiver. It is what it is at the end of the day. We get a first-round pick back, and maybe we've got our center for the future. So at the end of the day, everyone's happy. But yeah, I just wanted to discuss the press conference with Hollywood. I wanted to discuss that whole statement about him saying he wanted to be involved and then it felt that the Ravens didn't need him to win. That one, I didn't really understand because last year we certainly needed you to win. You were definitely a big aspect here. Now, of course, one player doesn't affect everything. Of course, we need other players. We definitely needed our running backs to contribute something because we had no J.K. Dobbins and no Gus Edwards. We needed the offensive line to block so Lamar can get the ball to his receivers. We needed Mark Andrews to be Mark Andrews, and we needed the defense to step up. Obviously, it's a team effort here, but for him to sit back and say he wanted to be involved and he felt like they really didn't need him to win and that he wasn't really involved in the winning of Baltimore, I didn't get that whole statement there from him. That kind of confused me. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Hollywood Brown is where he wants to be now. The Ravens got a first-round pick out of it. They utilize it to potentially get their center for the future, and everybody's happy. Best of luck to Hollywood Brown this season. and we'll see what happens. Hell, we're about to go see you in Arizona, so everyone's gonna go catch up with you. I believe they're traveling tomorrow because training camp just ended today, so they're traveling to Arizona tomorrow. They'll do like 2 practices there, and then they'll have the game Sunday. So yeah, everyone's gonna go visit you over there. It's all good, man. No hard feelings. Best of luck to you this season. Go out there, do your thing, ball out with Kyler Murray, put up some great numbers. With that being said, that is all I've got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.